Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin.
I know you're out there and you're interested in figuring out this whole thing, and lucky for you, we've got a mountain of info to help us break it all down.
You know what's so fascinating about Bitcoin
That is
is that it's not just some techie fad. It really could completely change how we think about money. Like, really change it.
Okay, now you've got my attention.
Yeah.
So are we talking like no more cash, everyone's using digital coins? How does that even work?
Well, think of it this way. Bitcoin is like you become your own bank.
Oh, okay.
You cut out all those middlemen. You control your money. You decide where it goes. You don't have to ask permission from anyone, any institution.
Wow.
It's all about these peer-to-peer transactions.
So no more waiting for bank transfers to clear or dealing with those crazy international transfer fees.
Exactly.
Nice.
And it gets even more interesting. Bitcoin transactions are super secure through cryptography, and they're recorded on this thing called the blockchain.
Hold on, blockchain. That's that whole digital ledger thing, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Think of it like a giant record that's constantly being updated with every single Bitcoin transaction. But it's not kept in one place. It's maintained by a whole network of computers, not one central authority.
Oh, I see.
And that's what makes it really secure and transparent.
Okay, I'm with you so far. But if there's no central bank running the show, how are new Bitcoins made?
That's where mining comes in.
Mining.
Miners use powerful computers to solve these crazy, complex math problems. And these problems, they basically verify transactions and add them to that blockchain we were talking about. And the first miner to crack the code, they get rewarded with brand new Bitcoins.
So it's like a digital gold rush with everyone racing to solve these puzzles?
You could definitely say that. And this whole competitive thing, it's vital for keeping the entire Bitcoin network safe and trustworthy. It motivates people to use their computer power for good.
Keeps things running smoothly.
Mm.
Okay, that makes sense. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's rewind a bit. There's this mystery man, Satoshi Nakamoto, supposedly the creator of Bitcoin.
Right.
What's the deal with that?
Ah, yes. The enigma of Satoshi Nakamoto. Back in 2008, this person, we don't even know the real name, published a white paper laying out the vision for Bitcoin. Then, poof, they disappeared a couple years later.
They're like a ghost.
And to this day, no one knows who they really are.
So we don't even know if Satoshi was one person or like a whole group of people.
Nope.
That's crazy.
And here's another twist. The code for Bitcoin is open source, meaning anyone can contribute to developing it. So even though the creator is MIA, the community's still building on it, improving the system.
So Bitcoin's like this decentralized project evolving without a leader.
Precisely.
That's pretty revolutionary.
That's one of the most radical things about it. It challenges everything we thought we knew about control and how things are run.
Okay, I'm sold. I want in on this Bitcoin thing. How do I actually get some? Do I become a miner?
Not at all.
Okay, good.
The easiest way is to buy it through a cryptocurrency exchange.
An exchange.
Yeah, like blockchain.com.
Okay.
You use regular money, dollars, euros, whatever, to buy fractions of Bitcoin. They call those Satoshis.
Satoshi's got it.
Yeah.
So I can buy Bitcoin like I buy stocks online.
Exactly. You make an account, transfer some money, and then buy and sell Bitcoin just like any other asset.
I can handle that.
You don't need to be a tech genius to get involved, which is great.
So you don't have to be super techie. Good to know.
Yeah.
But what about using Bitcoin? Is it just an investment or can you actually buy things with it?
It's definitely more than just an investment. It's not universally accepted yet.
Right.
But tons of businesses, even big names like Starbucks, are starting to take Bitcoin as payment.
Wow, seriously. I could buy my latte with Bitcoin.
You totally could.
That's awesome.
And one of the coolest things about Bitcoin is that it's meant to be a global currency, no borders.
So I could send Bitcoin to someone across the world just as easily as sending it to my neighbor.
Exactly. And often way faster and cheaper than those old school bank transfers, especially internationally.
Okay, starting to see the appeal here. But I've also heard people call Bitcoin digital gold.
Oh, yeah.
What's that all about?
It's a really interesting comparison. One of the key things about Bitcoin is its limited supply. Just like gold, there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoins. And that built-in scarcity, that contributes to its value.
So as more people use Bitcoin and demand goes up, its value could go up too.
That's the idea. It's why some people see it as a store of value, a way to protect yourself from inflation, just like with precious metals.
Okay, so like digital gold in that sense.
Yeah.
But is it actually safe? What if the whole system crashes or someone hacks in and steals all the Bitcoin?
That's a question a lot of people have.
Yeah.
Now, no system is 100% foolproof, but Bitcoin is designed with security as a top priority.
But how does that work if there's no central authority in charge?
Yeah. Remember that distributed database, the blockchain we talked about? That's the key. Every single transaction is recorded and checked by this massive network of computers, making it incredibly tough to mess with or hack.
So it's like this giant decentralized security system.
You got it. It's the power of cryptography and decentralization working together to create a really strong, resilient system.
So it's not like someone can just walk in and empty everyone's Bitcoin accounts.
Not quite. Of course, there are some risks, like losing your private keys, which you need to access your Bitcoin wallet, or the theoretical possibility of a 51% attack, where one person or group gets control of over half the network's computing power.
A 51% attack. That sounds pretty scary.
It's a valid concern, but it's important to understand that the bigger and more decentralized the Bitcoin network gets, the harder and more expensive it would be to pull off that kind of attack.
So the more people use Bitcoin, the more secure it becomes.
In a way, yeah, it's this fascinating concept, the idea that security is stronger when everyone participates.
All right, that makes me feel a bit better. But now I'm curious, if Bitcoin is a type of cryptocurrency, what about all those other ones I keep hearing about?
Oh, right.
What's the difference between cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and blockchain?
Think of cryptocurrency as the big umbrella term, a whole category of digital money. Bitcoin was the first one, the trailblazer, but now there are thousands of other cryptocurrencies out there, each with its own quirks and purpose.
So Bitcoin's like the OG, and the others are variations on that theme.
You could put it that way. And the blockchain is the engine that makes it all work, the foundation that all these cryptocurrencies are built on.
So blockchain's like the operating system,
Yeah,
and Bitcoin is just one app running on it.
exactly. And blockchain technology itself has a lot of uses beyond finance. It has the potential to totally change industries like healthcare, how we manage supply chains, even voting systems.
Wow. So this is about way more than just money. It's about rethinking how we organize and manage information and systems entirely.
That's exactly it. Bitcoin has started this wave of innovation, a whole new way of looking at the world and interacting with it.
This is fascinating stuff. And to think we're just scratching the surface of what Bitcoin and blockchain can do.
We are, it's true. And that's what makes it so exciting to explore.
We've covered a lot in this first part of our Bitcoin deep dive, from the basics of what it is and how it works to the whole mystery surrounding its origins, and even its potential to disrupt all kinds of industries.
Right.
But the big question is, does Bitcoin really have what it takes to become the future of finance?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And it's one we're going to dive into even deeper in our next segment. We'll look at the potential benefits, the challenges, the arguments for and against, and try to figure out if Bitcoin can really live up to its promise.
All right, sounds good. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll continue our deep dive into the world of Bitcoin.
Picking up right where we left off, Bitcoin's journey to becoming the future of finance kind of boils down to this question. Can it really gain widespread adoption and trust?
Yeah, that's the big one. We talked about all the cool tech stuff and the potential,
Right.
but I'm sure some folks are still a little unsure. Like, can digital coins really replace the dollar bills in my wallet?
It's a great question, but let's think about this. The concept of money has changed so much throughout history. I mean, we started with shells and beads, then gold, then paper currency.
Right.
What we call money
Yeah.
really comes down to a shared belief in its value and its ability to let us exchange things.
You're saying Bitcoin's success isn't just about the technology, it's about whether people actually believe in it enough to use it.
Exactly. Adoption is key, and we're already seeing some really promising signs. I mean, big companies are starting to accept Bitcoin, people are using it for daily transactions, and even those big institutional investors, they're starting to get interested in crypto.
So it's kind of like a snowball effect. The
Mhm.
more people use it, the more valuable and widely accepted it becomes.
That's the idea. And that limited supply we talked about earlier, the fact that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins, plays a huge role in this. Scarcity can really drive up value, especially when the demand keeps growing.
It's like that digital gold idea again. Limited supply, perceived value, a hedge against inflation.
You got it. When central banks print more money, the value of our traditional currencies can go down. But Bitcoin, with its fixed supply, it's naturally resistant to those inflationary pressures.
Okay, that's a strong argument, especially in the current economic climate.
Right.
But let's be realistic. Bitcoin is still a pretty new technology. What are some of the roadblocks it's facing in becoming more mainstream?
Well, one of the biggest hurdles is price volatility.
Yeah.
The value of Bitcoin can swing wildly, which makes people hesitant to use it for everyday purchases.
Yeah, I've seen those headlines. Bitcoin soars one
Yeah.
day and then Bitcoin plummets the next. It's a roller coaster.
Exactly. And that volatility makes merchants nervous about accepting Bitcoin because they don't want to lose money if the price suddenly drops.
Yeah, that makes sense. Stability is pretty important if you want people to trust a currency for their daily spending. What else?
Another challenge is regulation. Governments are still trying to wrap their heads around this whole new financial system.
Right.
And this lack of clear regulatory frameworks can create uncertainty and potentially hold back widespread adoption.
It's like the Wild West of finance out there. Governments are trying to catch up and figure out how to regulate this whole crypto thing.
You could say that. And then there's the issue of scalability. The Bitcoin network can only process a certain number of transactions per second, which can lead to delays and higher fees when things get busy.
So as more people use Bitcoin, the system could get slower and less efficient.
It's definitely a concern. But the
Yep.
good news is developers are working on solutions to make it more scalable, like something called the Lightning Network.
Lightning Network, what's that?
It's a separate layer on top of Bitcoin that allows for faster and cheaper transactions to happen off-chain, meaning outside of the main Bitcoin blockchain. This helps reduce congestion and makes Bitcoin more practical for smaller, everyday transactions.
So it's like a fast lane for Bitcoin transactions.
That's a great way to put it. It's just one of the many innovations happening in the Bitcoin ecosystem to try to overcome these challenges and make Bitcoin more mainstream.
So it's a technology that's constantly evolving and getting better.
Yeah.
So looking ahead, where do you see Bitcoin going? World domination or just a niche player?
It's really tough to say for sure, but I do think Bitcoin has the potential to fundamentally change how we think about and use money. It gives us a glimpse into a future where financial transactions are more transparent, secure, and accessible to everyone.
A future where we don't have to rely so much on traditional banks and institutions.
Exactly. And even if Bitcoin itself doesn't become the one and only global currency, the technology it's built on, that blockchain, is going to have a massive impact on tons of industries.
We're talking about those examples you mentioned, like revolutionizing voting systems or creating more secure and transparent supply chains.
Exactly. We're only just starting to explore blockchain's full potential, but it's clear that this technology has the power to change the way things work.
It's like the Internet of Value, connecting people and businesses in a whole new way, cutting out those traditional middlemen.
That's a great way to put it. And just like the internet in its early days, we're only starting to understand what blockchain technology can really do. It's a really exciting time to be a part of this.
It definitely is. But with all this innovation and change, some people are going to be a little skeptical. What about the potential downsides?
Right, and it's important to acknowledge those. One big concern is the environmental impact of Bitcoin mining. All those powerful computers needed to secure the network, they use a lot of energy.
I've heard about those massive mining farms with rows and rows of computers running 24/7.
Yes, but the industry is actively working to reduce its carbon footprint. A lot of mining operations are switching to renewable energy sources like solar and hydropower.
So it sounds like there's a growing push for sustainability within the crypto world.
There definitely is. And it's not just about the environment. There are concerns about Bitcoin being used for illegal activities because some people think it's anonymous.
Right, you hear a lot about Bitcoin being used by criminals.
It's true that Bitcoin has been used for illegal things in the past, just like any other currency can be. But cash is still the main tool for most criminal activities.
So it's not a problem unique to Bitcoin. And with better blockchain analytics, law enforcement is getting better at tracking Bitcoin transactions and catching those doing illegal things.
Exactly. And the fact that the blockchain is inherently transparent actually makes it easier to track transactions compared to traditional cash-based systems.
Okay, so there are ways to deal with these risks, but
Definitely.
it's good to be aware of them.
Absolutely. As with any new technology, it's important to be thoughtful and consider both the potential benefits and the potential challenges.
Don't just blindly jump in or dismiss it. Do your research, try to understand the details, and form your own opinions.
Great advice. The future of Bitcoin and blockchain technology as a whole depends on our ability to navigate these complexities in a responsible way and use its potential for good.
Well, this deep dive has really helped me understand Bitcoin and what it could mean for the future. We've covered a lot, from how it works to how it could change society and our relationship with money.
It's been a fascinating journey, for sure. And I hope our listeners feel like they have a good understanding now, too, and can continue exploring this incredible, ever-changing world.
I think they do. And remember, this isn't just about technology. It's about giving people more control, encouraging innovation, and reimagining the systems that shape our world.
Exactly. There's so much potential, and it's up to all of us to keep talking about the future of money, technology, and what kind of world we want to build.
So to our listeners, keep learning, stay curious, and be part of this exciting journey into the decentralized future. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Bitcoin. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We've really dug deep into Bitcoin, learned how it works, and even talked about its potential to change the world of finance. But now I want to zoom out a little, look at the bigger picture.
I like that, because the rise of Bitcoin really makes you wonder, what does it tell us about how our relationship with money is changing? I mean, for centuries, we've relied on governments and central banks to control our currencies.
Yeah, always been that way, right? A few big institutions calling the shots.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin seems to be turning that on its head.
It definitely does. Bitcoin is all about decentralization, spreading the power around instead of keeping it in one place. It gives individuals more control over their own money without interference from those traditional middlemen.
So it's like a digital revolution against the old financial system, putting the power back in the hands of the people.
You could say that. And this whole idea of decentralization goes beyond just money. It's about rethinking how we organize and manage all kinds of systems in our lives.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What kind of systems are we talking about here?
Well, imagine voting systems built on blockchain technology. It would make everything completely transparent and impossible to change. Every single vote would be recorded securely and could be verified, making it virtually impossible to mess with election results.
Wow, that's a powerful idea, especially these days when election integrity is such a big deal.
Right. Or take supply chains, for example. Blockchain could be used to track products from the very beginning to the end consumer, cutting out fraud, counterfeiting, and making sure things are sourced ethically.
So we could know for sure that our coffee is fair trade or that our diamonds are conflict-free. That would be a huge change.
Exactly. Those are just a couple of examples of how blockchain, the tech behind Bitcoin, could revolutionize entire industries, making systems more transparent, accountable, and efficient.
It really is like that Internet of Value we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
connecting people and businesses directly, cutting out those traditional middlemen.
That's a perfect way to put it. And just like in the early days of the internet, we're only just beginning to understand the full potential of blockchain. It's a very exciting time to be watching this all unfold.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
But with all this innovation happening so fast, some people are going to be a little hesitant. Are there any potential downsides we should be talking about?
You're right. It's super important to consider those concerns. One thing people bring up a lot is the environmental impact of Bitcoin mining. All those computers needed to secure the network use a significant amount of energy.
Yeah, I've heard about those massive mining farms with rows and rows of computers running all the time. It must take a lot of power.
It does, but the industry is trying to find solutions to reduce their carbon footprint. Lots of mining operations are switching to renewable energy sources like solar and hydropower.
So it sounds like they're getting more serious about sustainability in the crypto world.
For sure. And it's not just about the environment. There are also concerns about Bitcoin being used for illegal activities because some people think it's totally anonymous.
Yeah, you hear that a lot, that Bitcoin is a currency for criminals.
It's true that it's been used for illegal purposes, just like any other type of currency can be. But let's be real, cash is still the main way criminals do business.
So it's not just a Bitcoin problem. And with all these advancements in blockchain analytics, law enforcement is getting better at tracking those transactions and catching criminals.
Exactly. And because the blockchain is transparent by nature, it's actually easier to track transactions compared to traditional cash.
Okay, so there are ways to address those risks.
Definitely.
But we still need to be aware of them.
Absolutely. Just like with any new technology, it's important to look at it from all sides, see both the potential benefits and the challenges.
Right. Don't just jump in blindly or reject it completely. Do your research, understand what you're getting into, and make your own decisions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. The future of Bitcoin and blockchain as a whole really depends on us being responsible and using this tech for the right reasons.
This whole deep dive has been a real eye-opener. We've learned so much, from how Bitcoin actually works to its potential to reshape society and how we think about money.
It's been an incredible journey, for sure. I hope our listeners feel the same way and feel ready to keep exploring this exciting and constantly changing world.
I think they do. And remember, This is about more than just the tech. It's about giving people more power, driving innovation, and reimagining the systems that shape our world.
Exactly. There's so much potential here, and we all need to be a part of this conversation about the future of money, technology, and the kind of world we want to create.
Couldn't agree more. So, to our listeners, keep learning, stay curious, and be a part of this exciting journey into the decentralized future. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Bitcoin. We'll see you next time.